Hi, welcome to the second video on trig equations. This time we are going to be solving trig equations where it is a negative on the right hand side, for example, sine of negative 0.5, okay? And there's a slight difference to our working and how we're going to use the table for these ones. Okay, so because we are solving negative equations this time, we use what's called the opposite quadrant. So in my previous video, when you were solving sine x equaled a positive number, we ticked all and sine. Now we're looking for when the graph is negative. So if you look down at a wee diagram here, I'm solving sine x is negative 0.5. Can you see the two answers that I have are now going to fall in the tan and the cos boxes rather than the all and the sine? So for that reason, instead of ticking all and sine, which I told you last time, we now tick tan and cos, because your calculator will tell you what the answer is here of positive 0.75. One other tip is we never ever put the negative into the calculator, okay? So let's show you what I mean in terms of working. So for this one, because it is negative, I tick the opposite two boxes on my diagram. Then I go and do x equals inverse sine of positive 0.75. The negative is only there to help you decide which quadrants you're going to use to get your two answers. Now when you put that into your calculator, the nearest whole number you get 49. And sorry, I don't call that x at this point, I call it the acute angle. And this is why. So if I write down x equals 49 as one of my answers, that's wrong, because 49 is here, right? There is no point on the graph of negative 0.75 being at 49 degrees. This is the acute angle, the one that the calculator gives you out in the all box, okay? That's not one of our actual answers. So then we take that number and we apply it to the two other quadrants. So for the tan box, remember this was 180, it was after 180, so you add on. So x equals 180 plus 49, which is 229 degrees. And for the cos box, you do x equals 360, take away 49, which is 311 degrees. And remember what I told you last time in the videos, please underline what your two answers are. Because if you accidentally say x equals 49 up there, the person marking your question will think you think there are three answers. So clearly my two answers are 229 and 311. And normally I would write them side by side, but I don't have quite enough room to do it on this screen today. Second example, we're going to solve tan x equals negative 0.4. So I'm going to do my all sine tan cos. Tan is negative, so I tick opposite boxes. So I tick sine and cos. So basically, I normally tick all and tan. I tick the other two. And just to show you why this is, negative 4 is here. Now I know these numbers aren't the clearest, but this falls in between 90 and 180, which is your sine box. And this one falls in after 270, which is your cos box. That's why we're ticking sine and cos. So you go to your calculator, we're ready to go do inverse tan. So you do inverse tan of positive 4. Remember, no negative goes into the calculator, because the negative will come out. It will, if you put in a negative, it will alter what your answer is, okay? So this is just what your acute answer would be. So you do shift tan of positive 4, and to nearest whole number, it gives you 76. Okay? Now some people call that the related acute angle as well. I just call it the acute angle because it's easier. So then I go and I do x equals. So for the sine box, we do 180 take away 76, which is 104 degrees. And for the cos box, I do 360 take away 76, which is 284 degrees. And there are my two answers, underlined so that I know it's 104 and 284. And if you look at my diagram, that matches. There's your 104 just after the 90, and there's the 284 just after the 270. So it works. Right, no diagram now, okay? So this one we're solving cos x equals negative 0.33. So in my table, all sine, tan, cos. Cos is negative, so I don't tick cos, I tick the other ones. So I tick sine and tan. We go and do the inverse cos bit. So inverse cos of positive 0.33. And the acute angle that comes out when you do that, so the nearest whole number is 71. So my acute angle is 71. So x equals, the sine box is 180 take away 71. The tan box is 180 plus 71. So that gives you two answers of 109 degrees and 251 degrees. Please use your calculator if they're too difficult for you to do mentally. You don't want to do all that working and then mess up at doing a little add sum wrongly. Okay, so that's how normally I would set it out. One last example, this one's a little bit different. You'll notice it's not sine x equals, there's a 5 in front. So this is just a wee lead into what's coming up next, because there will be a bit of change the subject involved at the beginning. So if there's a 5 in front of the sine, what we have to do is we have to divide by the 5. So really my question is sine x equals negative 2 over 5. Sine is negative, so when I do the table, I don't tick sine, I tick the other two. I tick tan and cos. So x equals inverse sine of positive 2/5. Remember, you can write that as 2 divided by 5. Go to your calculator, do shift sign of either 2 divided by 5. 2/5 is a fraction. You could do it as a decimal of 0.4. Either way, you come out with an answer up to the nearest whole number of 24. So x equals, tan box we've ticked is 180, add 24. And the cos box is 360, take away 24. So that gives you 204 degrees and 336 degrees. Remember, underline the final two answers so I know what you're communicating as the end result. Okay, so hopefully you followed that okay. Here are some questions I'd like you to try on your own. The ones on the left hand side, straightforward. The ones on the right hand side, there's a wee bit of changing around before, because you can't hit that inverse tan or inverse sine unless it is tan x equals, right? If there's anything else on the left hand side with the tan x, you're not ready to do the inverse tan. So there's the questions. Answers are on the next slide. Thank you very much. And there are the answers, and I hope they're all correct to the nearest degree. Thank you very much.